it said that on social media, and he discussed like crazy like conspiracy theories that were not true about how it was all fake, like the Nazis and how they didn't kill 6 million Jewish people.
Okay, thank you. And we have evidence of that through his social media accounts.
Even though I'm not Jewish, it still affects all of Pittsburgh and really all of the world because I do have Jewish friends and they were affected by this, so that in turn affects me.
It's easy to say that this is a night of sadness. I don't think that's what they would want of us. And this evening is a reminder to not be continually sad, to be grateful they were in our lives, to take the beauty that they were, to move forward with that, to make the world a better place. To me, that's how we honor the memory of 11 beautiful people. Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Dan Stein, Mel Wax, Herb Younger. May their lives always be for a blessing. And let us say, Amen.
Well, the tragedy itself is kind of like the death in a family. It occurs and everybody has a flurry of activity, and then thump. The activity is over and the reckoning with the depths of the problems begins. This is a community that already had begun this conversation about hate. How do we deal with this as a society? How do we deal with the few who are intent on causing harm and hatred for the many?
We need to have the very public debates and discussions. It isn't as simple as free speech, censored speech.
When the Nazis were permitted to demonstrate in Skokie, they ended up revealing themselves as clowns. It's painful, it's difficult, but the First Amendment is a brilliant institution that can protect us.
But David, let me come back to you on this. When we demonize an individual because of their race, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, that's a lie. Some huge number believe the lies. Is the First Amendment working? When you cannot change such a substantial number of people in our country and just convince them of the truth of certain things?
All speech has an intended audience. It has an intended effect. And I think we need to reframe some of our discussions around free speech, at least from an ethical perspective. I'm not a lawyer. I can't speak to that, but at least from an ethical perspective, we need to reshape these debates so that they're about the freedoms, but also the responsibilities.
When we talk about hate, I can bring it back down to the issue of all of us believing that we are not the person that made these negative things happen. And some people will say, I don't have anything to do with that, I'm not racist. But if you are not speaking up, then indeed you are a part of the problem. And we need to be honest about that so we all can be better. That's the message I try to get out to people. I am an extremely tenured member of the Urban League the Urban League movement. When we look at how Jews were treated historically, how African Americans were treated, while there are differences, there was a clear understanding there. And that understanding says what is happening to the country that we call America. What is happening to our democracy?
We had a white man who was at a bar, like literally downstairs from the newsroom, who was saying racial slurs and posting it on his Snapchat, and then went outside and stabbed a black man to death. We had a man who was flying a swastika flag pointed at the house of the interracial couple that lived next door. So the majority of those events happened before the Tree of Life shooting, and we covered them. But like in hindsight, it stands out as such a pattern.
To be a black newspaper columnist in Pittsburgh is to be well acquainted with hate in this region. There's a lot of it, and it isn't acknowledged nearly enough. It is not an abstraction to me. It comes to me before dawn in the form of calls to my office phone, usually a string of racial epithets let loose on the world like a scabrous jazz solo. There is a price to pay for hate, and if we're not careful, we're gonna keep finding out what that price is.